Yo, what's good, Laker Nation? Listen, if you thought LeBron's interview was emotional, if you thought watching the King apologize in an empty arena was heavy, then you are not prepared for what Austin Reaves just said in the Lakers locker room. Because bro, I have never seen this man like this. Never. Austin Reaves, the guy who is always upbeat, always positive, always the first one to encourage his teammates and crack a joke after a tough loss. That Austin Reaves was gone today. The man sitting in front of those reporters in the Lakers locker room with ice bags on both knees and both shoulders, with red-rimmed eyes that told you he had either been crying or hadn't slept or both, that was a different person entirely. And what he said about his Game 5 performance, about the 4 for 15 shooting night, about the responsibility he feels to LeBron and to Luka and to the city was the most brutally honest self-assessment I have ever heard from a player in the middle of a playoff series. So let me tell you what happened, because Austin Reaves just ripped himself apart in public and then rebuilt himself in real time. Hey, what's up everyone? Real quick before we get into everything, that like button is literally what determines if this reaches hundreds or thousands of fans. Takes 1 second but makes a huge impact on the channel's growth. Just smash that like button right now. It's the easiest thing you can do, but honestly the biggest way to support this content. Every single like pushes this further, so hit it now. The locker room scene was intense. Reaves was sitting at his locker, and unlike most post-game or post-practice availabilities where players are dressed and showered and presentable, Reaves still had his practice gear on, still had the ice wrapped around his joints, still looked like a man who had been grinding for hours and wasn't done yet. The reporters gathered around him, and the first question was straightforward, something about the shooting in Game 5 and what adjustments he planned to make. And Reaves, instead of deflecting, instead of talking about getting better looks or trusting the process, looked down at the floor and said something that stopped everyone in the room cold. "I let them down," he said. His voice was barely above a whisper. "I let LeBron down, I let Luka down, even though he wasn't on the court because he's watching from home trusting me to fill his role. I let Ayton down, I let Marcus Smart down, I let JJ Redick down. I let every fan who bought a ticket to that game down. 4 for 15, 4 for 15 in a closeout game at home with the season potentially on the line. That's not a bad night, that's a failure. And I'm not gonna sugarcoat it or dress it up with analytics about shot quality or defensive attention. I had looks, I had good looks, open threes, mid-range pull-ups, shots that I make in my sleep, shots that I make in practice every single day, and I missed them, not because of my oblique, not because of the Rockets' defense, because in the moments that mattered most, my hands wouldn't stop shaking." Bro, when he said my hands wouldn't stop shaking, the entire room went quiet, because that's not the kind of thing NBA players admit. That's vulnerability at a level that you almost never see from professional athletes, especially in the middle of a playoff series. And Reaves kept going, digging deeper into the honesty, and it was almost painful to watch. He said, "I came back from that oblique injury and I talked so much. I went on camera and told the world I was going to play like it was the last game of my life. I said Houston was gonna have to deal with me for 35 minutes. I said there wouldn't be a game 6. And you know what? My mouth wrote checks that my body couldn't cash, because the truth is the oblique isn't 100%, it's closer to 75. And when you're playing at 75% and the adrenaline wears off in the fourth quarter, your body doesn't respond the way you need it to. My legs were heavy. My lift on my jumper was off, and I could feel it on every shot. I could feel that I wasn't getting the same elevation, the same rotation, the same follow-through. But I kept shooting anyway because I thought I could will the ball in, and I couldn't, and the team paid the price for my stubbornness." Then a reporter asked whether he should have told the coaching staff that he was struggling physically, whether he should have asked to come out of the game, and Reaves' response revealed something important about his psychology. He said, "No, and I wouldn't change that decision even knowing the outcome, because LeBron James is 41 years old, and he played 38 minutes last night on knees that have been carrying the NBA for 2 decades. Marcus Smart played the entire second half with a hip flexor that you could see was bothering him on every defensive stance. These men are sacrificing their bodies for this team. How am I going to sit here, 28 years old, and tell the coach I need to come out because my oblique hurts? How do I look LeBron in the eye and say, I can't go anymore when he's out there at 41 giving everything he has? No, I stayed in, and I'll stay in again in Game 6, and Game 7 if it comes to that. And every game after that until my body literally won't move anymore. Because that is what it means to be a Laker. You don't quit, you don't ask out, you play until they carry you off the floor. Then he shifted to the media, and the sadness in his voice was replaced by something harder, something that reminded me of the Austin Reaves who talked before Game 5 about being undrafted and fighting for everything. He said, "I've been seeing what the analysts are saying, that I'm a fluke. That my 23 points per game in the regular season was an illusion, that I can't handle the playoffs, that the Lakers made a mistake building around me as the third option." His jaw clenched. A fluke, a fluke. I averaged 23 points per game in the most competitive conference in basketball. I was undrafted and I earned every single minute through work, through sweat, through showing up at 5 in the morning every day for 4 years. Nobody gave me a spot on this roster. I took it. And one bad shooting game in the playoffs doesn't erase that. One bad night doesn't make me a fluke. It makes me human. And the analysts who come out of the woodwork only when players struggle, the ones who disappear when you're averaging 23 but show up with their hot takes the moment you go 4 for 15, those people aren't analysts. They're vultures. And I have a message for them. Watch Game 6. Watch what I do in Houston. Because every single shot I missed last night is fuel. Every talking head who called me a fluke this morning is fuel. Every clip of Stephen A. Smith questioning my ability is fuel, and I'm going to burn all of that fuel in the Toyota Center on Wednesday night. Then he made a specific promise that I think is either going to be the greatest redemption moment of the 2026 playoffs or the most painful clip in his career. He said, "I went 4 for 15 last night. In Game 6, I'm going to make my first 5 shots." I don't care if they're threes, mid-ranges, or layups. The first 5 shots that I take in the Toyota Center are going in because I'm gonna walk into that building with a mentality that I've never had before. Not the positive, happy to be here Austin Reaves. The angry Austin Reaves. The one who remembers what it felt like to go undrafted. The one who remembers being told he wasn't good enough. The one who took an 8-hour drive from Arkansas to LA with nothing but a bag of clothes and a dream. That Austin Reaves is showing up in Houston, and Houston is not going to enjoy meeting him. Then he got emotional in a way that caught everyone off guard. He said, "You know what kills me the most about last night? It's not the shots. It's not the stat line. It's that LeBron took the blame. He went out there this morning and apologized. He said his turnovers cost us the game." And yeah, the turnovers were bad, but LeBron James does not need to apologize to anyone. The man is 41 years old and he's still the best player on our team. He's still the guy who makes this entire operation work. And the fact that he felt like he needed to say sorry when I went out there and shot 4 for 15, that makes me sick. That keeps me up at night. Because LeBron shouldn't be apologizing for me. I should be apologizing for not doing my job so that he doesn't have to carry everything. And that's what I'm gonna do in Game 6. I'm gonna do my job. I'm gonna make shots. I'm gonna space the floor. I'm gonna take pressure off LeBron so that he can be the playmaker and the facilitator instead of having to be the scorer and the playmaker and the closer and everything else. That's my responsibility, and I take it more seriously than anything I've ever taken in my life. He stood up, pulled the ice bags off his knees, and said one final thing before walking to the treatment room. For every Lakers fan watching this, I'm sorry about last night. Genuinely, from the bottom of my heart, I'm sorry. You deserve better than 4 for 15 from your guy. But I'm going to make it right, not with words, with actions. In Houston, on Wednesday night, the jersey I wear, the purple and gold, represents something bigger than me. It represents Magic and Kobe and Shaq and Kareem and every great player who ever wore it, and I absolutely refuse to let that jersey down twice. Whatever it takes, whatever it costs, whatever happens to my body, I'm leaving it all on that floor in Houston. And when it's over, when we've won, I want you to forget about Game 5, because Game 6 is going to be the game you remember, I guarantee it. He paused, looked down at the Lakers logo beneath his feet, and said, "But let me also make something very clear to the Houston Rockets, to Stephen A. Smith, to Skip Bayless, to every person who thinks they just watched the beginning of the end for LeBron James. You haven't. What you watched last night was a 41-year-old man have a bad game. That's it, a bad game. After 20 years of playoff basketball, after breaking every record imaginable. After 4 championships and 10 finals appearances, I had a bad game, and the world acts like I've never been here before. His voice got harder. I've been here before. I've been down. I've been counted out, and what I do when I'm counted out is I remind people why they should never count me out. Game 6 in Houston is going to be the last game of the Rockets season. I'm going to make sure of it. Not with turnovers, not with hero ball. With the kind of basketball that has made me the greatest player to ever live. And when it's over, when we've won, when this series is finished, I want every critic who spent today writing my obituary to remember what I said in this empty arena. The throne still has an owner, and the owner is coming to Houston to reclaim what's his. Man, the raw emotion in that locker room was palpable. Austin Reaves didn't just give an interview, he confessed. He stripped away every layer of athlete facade and showed the world a man who is genuinely hurting from the loss, who feels the weight of his performance on his shoulders, who understands that the opportunity to close out a playoff series at home was wasted partly because of his shooting night. And the fact that he channeled that pain into a promise for Game 6, the fact that he's using LeBron's apology as motivation to be better, that tells you everything about who Austin Reaves is. This is not a man who is going to crumble under pressure. This is a man who is being forged by it. Game 6 in Houston. Austin Reaves just told the world he's making his first 5 shots. Let's see if the angry, undrafted kid from Arkansas shows up. Something tells me he will. Drop your thoughts in the comments. More coming. Stay locked in.